So welcome to this CBSE Class 12 English lesson, the third level. Exploring the human mind and understanding its natural defense mechanism, escapism, and that's what this lesson is all about. To understand this lesson, I've decided to break it up into three parts, that is three sections. If we understand these three sections, it will become much easier to understand this lesson, which many students find it a little bit confusing and contradicting. We will see first what is escapism, and second is how the protagonist, Charlie, creates a fake reality to escape the real world. And the third most important point is a validation, that is a need to prove he is right. We will also try to understand some key words and sentences that help to explain this particular fact. Come, let's see section 1. What is escapism? The American Psychology Association defines escapism as the tendency to escape from the real world to the safety and comfort of a fantasy world. Other experts say that escapism is a means to prevent a still greater damage to the mind and body. Now, according to the text, protagonist Charlie sought to escape realities and uncertainties of the two major wars. So the war was an issue that is being mentioned in the text, but indirectly in the text they mention other harsh realities. So I'm just bringing forward to you some of the other harsh realities that were also influencing and affecting people, including Charlie at that time. And that was the Spanish flu of 1918. Now remember, the Spanish flu of 1918 killed more people than the current pandemic. Right now in this pandemic, around 5 million people have died and the world has gone into a lockdown. At that time, 50 million people died of a smaller population. So you can imagine the sort of tension and the anxiety people must be going through. Also, there was the Great Depression of 1929. Now, the Great Depression is nothing but business cycles that are spread over 100 or 150 years. And this was a down cycle, a downturn, where the demand went down, production went down, income went down, and people were not able to sustain themselves. And that created anxiety. So there were total 4 things that were possibly having its impact and influence on the people. Now, okay, we are also given to understand that maybe that is what we understand, that the media at that time downplayed these issues. Downplayed in the sense what was projected in daily life was a normal life. These things were not highlighted. So people felt, okay, fine, they are there, but life goes on and life is normal. Well, in a way, that is also escaping the real reality. And maybe possibly that's a healthier way of escaping what we call positive thinking. Otherwise, how else could governments help its population overcome a major crisis? Populations and masses of people could possibly go into depression because of this. Now, Charlie was unable to face these realities and sought to go back in time to the comfort and security of his hometown, Galesburg. So he created the third level, which would make it possible. The third level are the train station which goes back in time. So you get special trains that will just carry you back in time. So this third level was created by Charlie so that he could escape these harsh realities. Now let us see how escapism is used by the human mind. For example, if you have to fight a person twice your height and weight, you would fight or you would run away. See, if you run away, people would call you a coward and say that, you are a person who cannot face life and cannot face problems. So it's a problem if you run away. But also if you stand there and fight, this person can break your bones. You will have to face and live the rest of your life in a wheelchair. Do we want to do that? No. I think it's much easier to run away, right? And that's exactly how escapism works in the human mind. The mind selects the least offensive option, and it's better to escape and not think about these things rather than allow the mind to create a bigger, greater damage, not just to the mind, but even the body is damaged. That is how escapism works in the human mind. Let's see, now we will do section 2. How did Charlie create a fake reality? See, Charlie's issue was very serious, and the problem is he was not even aware of it. He was almost hallucinating. As he enters Grand Central, in his hallucinations, he can see corridors extending like the roots of a tree. Now, this is a very strong sign of hallucination. You start seeing things. He enters one of them and is transported back in time to the year 1894. So, one of those outlets actually took him back in time, and he sees everything that was typical of that time. So, actually, he landed in 1894. So now if he's in that time, he needs to get a train ticket to take him to his hometown. Now, when he goes there, he sees a lot of things that were of that time. Now, I would suggest students, please try to check your textbook and memorize these things that he saw. That's very important because these are the things that can come in your MCQs. This you need to commit to memory. See, the entire lesson you need to understand, because from your understanding you're going to write and select the right answer. But there are certain things that you need to memorize. For example, the MCQ will come that he saw spittoons. Spittoons are places, containers where we can spit. So the spittoons he saw were made of wood, plastic, steel, or brass. So the answer is brass. You have to tick the right option. The newspaper he saw, the name was what? The name was The World. The date of the newspaper was what? It was 11 June 1894. So these are actual textual proofs that one needs to memorize. So this section, what he saw and the details, I would suggest that you please memorize. Now this is exactly when Charlie saw all this, the old time, he was very happy. This is exactly what he was dreaming of. He went to the counter to buy tickets for himself and his wife Louisa to Galesburg, but the present currency was not accepted by the clerk. See, he's in an old time now, and he had a current modern day currency which was not acceptable. No, he was not able to buy the ticket. Now, so he decides to come home and go back the next day with the old currency. Now, when he does that, Charlie never finds the third level ever again. But his mind is not willing to give up. Now, that's very important. And then that is how we can track the issue. So next day Charlie buys old currency but was unable to find the third level again. His wife Louisa was upset and didn't want him to look for the third level again. So he stopped looking for it and went back to his stamps. Now again, we need to understand this very well, that if he is going to a major depression and a mental problem, by Louisa just telling him stop it doesn't mean he will stop it. He will say, okay, I will stop it, but do you think the mind will be able to stop? No. It is so active. The mind needs to express it. So the mind at the present moment expresses it in a form of another escape route, that is stamp collection. But stamp collection is not that powerful an escapism mechanism as the way he wanted, that is, go back in time. So let's see what happens. Now, when he goes back to his stamp collection, this is what he sees in his stamp collection. Surprisingly, while he was engrossed with his stamps, he found a first day cover that had a letter in it. Now, what are first day covers? First day covers are letters that you post to yourself using a stamp that was issued on that particular day. So it goes in your record and in your collection that the day this stamp was issued, on that day I received a letter, because the post office mark and the date is there. So it goes as your record. But usually these envelopes are always empty because one is posting it to oneself. But in case of Charlie, he found an envelope that actually had a letter. It was a letter from his friend Sam, and Sam found the third level and had been living there since the last 2 weeks. Now that is surprising and that is shocking that he finds Sam. Now Sam is his friend who he was discussing all these things all this while. And Sam managed to go to the third level. Whereas Charlie searched the third level and he was unable to find it. And he had to give it up because Louisa told him to please give it up. The good news for Charlie is because he can now continue searching for the third level. Now, this is important. Remember, the mind, in order to maintain its sanity, needs to continue to searching that third level, needs to continue in the process of escaping today's reality. Now, this is, we'll come to Sam's letter again. I will come to it later on. But let us go to section 3. And in this section, there are around 5 sentences that I pulled up from the book that gives us a clue of really what is the issue and what is the problem here. And is proof for the problem. Yeah? Let us see. Now, the first sentence you will find in your book is, now I don't know why this should have happened to me. I'm just an ordinary guy named Charlie, 31 years old. Now, this is a very clever way of misleading his readers into thinking that, see, the issue is, did the third level exist or not? He very clearly shifted the issue from there to whom it appears to. So the question whether it is present or no is not relevant. It is present. The question is to whom it will appear. Who will be able to see it? So great things are seen by great people, or great things are seen by ordinary people. He's just ordinary, so how come he saw such a great thing happening in his life? So he shifts the focus. So one is, wondering that maybe, okay, the third level actually exists, and the question is to whom it will appear. Second one is, and that was that, I left the same way I came, I suppose. Now, how do you talk so casually? How do you say that is that? When you're talking to your friend, you're talking about an issue, do you say that is that? You will specify what is the word that. Now, the second that in this sentence refers to the third level. So he should have actually said, and that's the third level. Now, the third level is so important to him. It's a way of him escaping and finding sanity in a different world and a peaceful world. Then why does he use the word that? Why does he talk about it so casually? So this is another clue that gives him away, that possibly did not exist. And further down in the sentence, if you see, I left the same way I came, I suppose. He uses the word I suppose. So he comes back the same way, but he's not able to remember anything of that way. See, if you've just been there half an hour back, you would remember something, if not 100%, say 75%, maybe 50%, maybe 25, maybe 10% things you would have remembered. He can't remember anything, and he very casually used the word, okay, I think I may have come back the same way, I suppose. So another clue that gives him away and tells us that maybe this really did not happen. Okay, let's come to Sam's letter. Sam writes him a letter saying that I found the third level. Come on back. In the letter is mentioned, come on back. Now, this is, I found this a little bit, surprising, because supposing you and your friend are going for a party, and your friend has reached the party, and your friend phones you and says, okay, where are you? Will your friend say, come on back to the party? No, that is ridiculous. The friend will say, hurry up to the party. Why will the friend say, come on back? So why is the word come on back mentioned if it is about Charlie going to the third level? The word back, remember one thing is this, Sam's letter has been created by Charlie. It's Charlie's mind that has created the letter. Remember, the first day envelopes are supposed to be empty, but in Charlie's case, one of the envelopes had a letter, and that letter came from Sam. That letter was nothing but the creation of Charlie's mind that was working overtime on this particular issue. So back refers possibly to he wants to go back to his hometown. Back possibly refers to Charlie wants to go back to searching, because only through the searching will Charlie, remain in that escapism that he's seeking, and the mind will remain sane. So this is very important. So this is what influenced him possibly, and we find the word back there. Okay, let's see. The next sentence says, Sam tells him and his wife to keep searching. Now you have Charlie's letter, Sam's letter telling Charlie, keep searching. Now again, this is a little bit ridiculous, because if you and your friend are going for a party, like I said, your friend has reached the party and checks up with you, where are you? And you are stuck, you don't know the way. So will your friend say, okay, I've reached the party, you keep searching? Oh no, I think that's ridiculous. Your friend would help you and tell you, okay, where are you stuck? Let me help you, I will give the directions. So the very fact Sam tells him, you and your wife keep searching, it becomes clear that this is a creation of Charlie's mind and not the real letter from Sam. Now, the last sentence again was very important. This is the last line of the lesson. Now, this is a major mistake many students I found making. That during the course of the lesson, they mentioned he spoke to his psychiatrist friend Sam. I think that's wrong. During the course of your lesson, you cannot mention the word psychiatrist friend Sam because you don't know that Sam and the psychiatrist are one and the same people, because in this lesson it has been revealed to you only in the last line. It has been kept for the last line because of a particular effect. And I'll tell you what is that effect. Now, in the last line, you have the sentence saying his old business, and there's a question mark. So, who's asking this question? Well, Charlie is telling the reader that, you know what, my friend has reached there and he's so happy. Yeah, but one problem my friend has that he can't go back to his old business. He's now in the business of hay and feed and grain business because his current business is not finding any takers at that time. And therefore, you as a reader will ask, his old business, he can't go back to it? Why? So you ask the question to Charlie, what is his old business? And then Charlie tells you, why? He's my psychiatrist. So for a moment you are shocked. For a moment you are taken by surprise, and for a moment you believe, oh my God, the third level actually is there because a psychiatrist friend Sam reached it, and a psychiatrist cannot go wrong. Oh my God, so it actually exists. So for a brief moment you manage to believe, and that is what Charlie wants people to do. That is what people who are in denial, who are planning to escape, and who are in an escapism mood or mode, want people to do. They need to validate their thinking. They need people to know that what they're thinking is right. And here, through this method, Charlie manages to get that effect. So that is the reason why this has come in the last line of the lesson, and that is why we cannot use this during the course of the lesson. Yeah, and he says, well, my friend is Sam, he's my psychiatrist, and he has reached there. So what's the problem? So all this entire thing is true. So this is what the lesson is all about, my friends. Now, please look out for my second video, part 2, where I will discuss any more deeper insights and possibly question answers that will help you to answer your papers. Thank you very much.